So don't tell me the Democrats won't defend this country. Don't tell me the Democrats won't keep us safe. The Bush-McCain foreign policy has squandered the legacy the generations of Americans, Democrats and Republicans, have built. And we are here to restore that legacy. As Commander-in-Chief, I will never hesitate to defend this nation. But I will only send our troops into harm's way with a clear mission and a sacred commitment to give them the equipment they need in battle and the care and benefits they deserve when they come home. I will end this war in Iraq responsibly and finish the fight against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan. I will rebuild our military to meet future conflicts, but I will also renew the tough, direct diplomacy that can prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons and curb Russian aggression. I will build new partnerships to defeat the threats of the 21st century, terrorism and nuclear proliferation, poverty and genocide, climate change and disease. And I will restore our moral standing so that America is once again that last best hope for all who are called to the cause of freedom, who long for lives of peace, and who yearn for a better future.
My name is Rufus Johnson. I'm the founder and CEO of the Real Truth Inc. We back with Series 2. Now, this is something that me and Bernatte Watson have decided to do. Real Truth Inc. candidates brings the real truth to Cincinnati School Board and Cincinnati City Council 2013 elect, getting to know our non-incumbent candidates, which I am your host and producer. I don't like that word co-host, I just say host. Host, I can't get that code. I keep, tying me up.
Right.
Host with me, Bernatte Watson. Yes. These is live series we have been doing since August the 13th, August the 16th, August the 20th, August the 23rd, and August the 27th. 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Live call-ins at 513-651-3036, 513-651-3036. Then we're going to have a big forum. Our forum is going to be September the 27th, 2013. Candidates forum from 5:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. Special guests to join non-incumbent candidates with studio audience and questions and answers. Taiwan and Cable Live on Channel 24. So we're going to get right into it because, this is a exciting one. I'm ready to get down with this one. You already see that t-shirt, right? No. So I'm going to turn it over to my host, and she's going to introduce the candidate we have here today.
Right. Well, good evening, Kevin, and good evening to you. And Rufus, as usual, thank you, dear. Yeah, it's been a long day, but it is August the 20th. And one thing, before I actually do a formal introduction of Kevin, I would actually like to, reach out to our audience and those who are watching us on TV today. On August the 22nd will be the last day for any of our candidates to turn in valid signatures to be on the ballot. I was actually at the Black Family Reunion Parade, and many people would say, well, I don't know who that is. And of course, I know Kevin very well, have known him, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But one of the things I explained to them is not asking for your support. We do want your support, but signing the petition does not obligate you to anything. I feel that it's very important, especially for our non-incumbent candidates. And if there are things that you may not be pleased with, you may want to change council members, you may want to offer your support to others after you get to know them. One of the reasons that we're here is to be able to bring you the real truth about the candidates, but to literally give them the opportunity to be on the ballot. So anyone who has not signed a petition, or you think maybe your address has changed, or your signature that you would have given may not be valid. But remember, today, Tuesday, is August the 20th when we're showing live, but the 22nd is the last day. Kevin Johnson's campaign office is at the corner of Reading Road and Rockdale, right across the street from the Lincoln statue where South Avondale School is. And he'll give you the address to that a little later for volunteers. But that was just a little something I wanted to put out there because it's important, you know, with some lack of name recognition, that our non-incumbent candidates are on the ballot and that we give them the opportunity for you to know them and do that. One of the reasons that Rufus and I, again, Rufus in the Real Truth Incorporated and being able to learn. I have known Kevin, well, all of his life. I tease him sometimes, especially me and his mom who grew up together and have been friends. You know, he comes, got an old soul, but a young man and a young heart. You know, when his mom was carrying him, we used to play 45 records all the time. So a lot of that comes from the soul of his music and the love for that. But Kevin grew up in the West End. You know, I'm so very proud. You know, we often hear negative things about young brothers who are out here. Kevin is a graduate of Morehouse University, majored in political science, has much political background, a small business owner, been very successful in that. But as we talked when he initially came to me and we talked about him running for council, this is a passion and something that you want to do. And when you begin, of course, you need fundraising and dollars to help, but when you're willing to invest your own time and your own money in what you're trying to do to be a public servant and serve, I really believe that that's something that he believes in. He's worked at City Hall, he has administrative background, he has community background, and you know, and I always feel, you know, he's one of us. You know, he understands life, where it takes you, where it can take you, where it shouldn't take you, and I just want to say again, as I said about the other two non-incumbent candidates, this gives them an opportunity for you to hear them, not as much as you'll hear them in the 2-minute forums around the communities, but this gives him an opportunity where there may not be an opportunity for, national TV or the 5 major stations that are on and the ads. And Rufus offers that opportunity for these non-incumbent candidates. And I would truly ask you to listen closely and support Kevin Johnson. At this time, I would like to say welcome, Kevin.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, what's up? And you know, just you know, it's all about how you want to explain, you know, your policies. Rufus and I will ask you a few questions as we move on, but I just want the people to know who Kevin Johnson is and what you do and what you like and the fun things and the good things.
You know what? Before we get into that, you know, I got to give his full initiation because, you know, I did other candidates like this. So I got to make sure. Now, the R stand for reality, the E stand for education, the A stand for attitude, and the L stand for lifestyles. Okay. So now you've been endorsed by Rufus Johnson, the real truth.
All right.
And Bernatte.
Well, no other endorsement matters other than that one. Let me say that one. I love to be endorsed by real people.
Right.
And so I love what the REAL stands for. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Let me first start off by thanking you both for providing this platform and this opportunity for me to articulate my vision as I see it for the city of Cincinnati. Who I am and why I decide to run for political office. As Bernatte had stated earlier, I am a young man born and raised in the city of Cincinnati. Family, like most African-American families, migrated from the South and settled in the West End. And so I come from 2 strong matriarch of women who raised both my mother and my father in the West End. So I understand a keen sense of that sense of community and family. And those things were embedded in me at an early age. When I grew up, where I grew up at was the neighborhood of Avondale. Significant because that's where I decided to launch my campaign and headquarter my campaign office. So when I looked at the political landscape of the city, and I looked at the conditions of our community, and then I looked at my personal background, I wanted to run for 2 reasons. The first reason was because I understand the role of government. I often tell people all the time the role of government is to do what the private sector cannot, which is provide a safety net to allow that public sector to grow. And so when I look at our communities, I say, where is the safety net, right? The other reason I decided to run because I understand the political process and how it is defined. It is defined as the authoritative allocation of values on a society. And when those values have not been allocated in a fair and equitable way, I say now, what has gone wrong with our political structure and our system? And then I looked at our local environment and that we're going into 4-year terms. And it's very important moving forward, having that perspective, because that's what I'm talking about. Really having perspective in a way to know what growth looks like. Most major corporations forecast, they roadmap, they foreshadow, they do all of the necessary things because they know where that growth is going to take place and when it's going to take place down the line. So I thought it was important that our community have representatives that understood not only the short-term goals and commitment and growth of the city, but long-term how it will impact our communities, right? So I run on, and this is my slogan, One Cincinnati. Cincinnati is made up of 296,000 citizens making up one Cincinnati, right? So we have 52 neighborhoods, and when, before I ran, during this season, what happens is you have a lot of politicians who develop a platform on issues they think will be attractive to the general public, and they run on that. And so they go around the city articulating that vision. Well, it occurred to me, and this is wisdom, going back to that West End perspective and where I come from. My grandmother told me that simple wisdom, that the good Lord gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, take the hint. And so
I like
what we decided to do was we're going to actually tour and learn the city of Cincinnati. But we're not going to articulate my vision for the city. We want to get feedback from business owners, community advocates, residents, a plethora of background of individuals that make up this one Cincinnati. And amazing enough, and not amazing enough, what shocked all of us, and when I say us, meaning my campaign team, was that the simple question of what is your perspective is rare that's asked from an elected official to the citizens of the Cincinnati. And so they were able to vent in most cases, but give real insight onto what's going on and what it will take to solve issues as it relates to our city, but more importantly, the communities. And so what we found out was that we began to gather this information and compile it to formulate what I believe my vision is, to be able to speak and articulate that to the citizens of Cincinnati. And it's resonating very well. We're halfway through the 52 neighborhood tour, and we're picking up traction. And so I tell, and Rufus, I told this to you before, what's needed more than anything is a campaign not from the top down or the middle out, but from the bottom up. And so when you build a campaign from the bottom up, you begin to galvanize support in a real organic way that will begin to mobilize and where people can buy into that and articulate that vision with you. And so I believe thus far, we're right where we need to be. As a candidate, as a first-time candidate, as a non-endorsed candidate by a major political party, I think we're resonating, we're sending the right message, we're talking about the right issues, and I think people are buying in. And so we're to the point now with about 74 days away from the election is when we need to begin to spend the business of politics, which is the financial aspect of it, begin to spend the money so that we can get the name ID and the message out there.
Right.
Okay.
Right. One of the things that I have noticed about the city of Cincinnati that we find important, and as Kevin was ending up with that particular segment of what he was going to be talking about, is the idea that we as voters so often vote by name recognition. And if you see somebody's name that you're used to seeing consistently, I know of a candidate at one point, that was on the ballot with someone else who had the same last name. And boy, it's like shooing because everybody saw that name and didn't distinguish between the two candidates. So as we always say, you hear him, you like him, you share his name. You say Kevin Johnson's name as often as you can in your company of your family and your friends and who you are around. Right now we see a real main focus, and that's not to say that there isn't any, because I know Avondale has gotten some federal money and other communities are working on some federal dollars. But so often, what we hear and what we see publicized is what the city of Cincinnati and our local politicians are supporting in downtown Cincinnati.